ever see stuff you can't explain?
This came from somewhere else.
Oh, freedom, we're all going against the wind.
Life elsewhere in the universe is virtually a certainty.
CIA monkey business.
That was awful strange.
Hey, Tal. What's up?
What's up, Long Dick?
Well, I feel like I just ran a fucking marathon, and then at the end of it, I got sprayed in the face with diarrhea while researching what we're about to talk about.
Cool.
So-
Well, welcome to Take Me to Your Dealer, everyone. We're about to spray you all in the face.
We got a
And,
doozy of a dipe to share with you. This was
It's so bad.
it's so bad. This makes me want
Yeah.
to quit. This makes me want to quit, actually.
I've been angry all week researching
I've been
for this episode.
extremely inconvenienced.
Every day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just perplexed, vexed, annoyed. I developed
Yeah.
restless leg syndrome while researching this. Fucking sucks.
I've just been mad, just randomly yelling at people and screaming about how aliens are real, but then also screaming about how they're not real and just running out into the street and just, I quit.
What
I
made
quit.
us feel like this? What's the topic?
Majestic 12, people. We're doing Majestic 12 today.
Yeah, the big daddy. The big daddy.
Yeah.
The shit, honestly, it's just so hard to even summarize what a clusterfuck this story is. Just disinformation within disinformation within disinformation, man. It's so fucking annoying. It's so complicated. I hate
It's just layers of bullshit at every turn. If true, would
big if true.
be proof. Big if true. It would be. It's based off of a series of documents that, if true, mean that the government has absolutely been covering up specifically alien spacecraft crashes and possibly communication with aliens.
Oh yeah.
That we've been reverse engineering their technology to study their technology because they pose an existential threat. I mean, it is documentation from the President of the United States dealing with these issues, which sounds cool as hell, right? You'd be like, oh, let's get into this story. I love this, except it is most likely created by the government to make ufologists seem crazy.
Yeah, again, it's just the government fucking spewing diarrhea in your face. You're trying to see the light. You're trying to find the truth. And it's just every turn is more diarrhea. So, yeah, I mean, specifically these documents deal with Roswell also.
Mhm.
So basically saying that Roswell did happen. They recovered 4 alien bodies. And just kind of the national security implications of this, right?
Right.
And so basically how a task force was created in response to Roswell. And sounds pretty cool.
And you guys we do have an episode on Roswell, so if you're unfamiliar with the topic, you can check that out. But just really quickly, basically a spaceship crashed in the New Mexico desert outside of Roswell. It's just Roswell is the closest actual town.
Right, yeah, it
So
wasn't
that's
actually
what it's
Roswell.
called.
What was it? It's
It was near Corona, New Mexico.
Corona. Oh, timely.
Interesting, I know.
Disinformation within disinformation. We won't go there.
Here we are, your disinformation agents. And the Army Air Force released a statement saying that a flying saucer had crashed. So, the world was a little shook up. And then within hours, retracted the statement and said that it was a downed weather balloon, which caused
Classic.
a massive uproar. No one apparently in New Mexico knew what a weather balloon looked like, including military officials. And they sent the weather balloon out to other Air Force bases so they could test it. And there's reports of there being bodies that
Yeah.
escaped the crash, like weird alien bodies, weird metals, like things that we've never seen on Earth before. And there's hundreds of witnesses to this event.
Hundreds.
So
Yes. Yeah. And like
hundreds.
ranging from fucking Hooch Joe to Hoochless Jesse Marcel, you know, who they pantsed in front of the
Right.
entire nation. So yeah.
They
no,
did. They did pants a man in our episode. You can hear all about this pantsing.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, if you guys really want to, I would definitely suggest listening to that episode before you listen to this one, honestly, because it helps put a lot of this into context. But yeah, that's the general story. The government tried covering it up, saying it was a downed weather balloon. That doesn't make any sense at all if you actually know the story. So for decades, people have been trying to figure out what actually went down because the official answer doesn't work. And Majestic 12 is kind of an answer to that mystery. It's like, well, Majestic 12 is saying it was aliens. It was a downed craft from outer space.
Yeah.
And the government's been covering it up.
Like, yeah, possibly posed a threat, right, to us
Right.
and our well-being. So let's get into the story a little bit, I guess, of how these documents kind of came to light, the people involved, and just the fucking like spiraling rabbit hole that it eventually turns into with no clear exit. Because it's still, you know,
Right.
it's still up for debate in the UFO community. We're just gonna, you know, say here, Tal and I are both under the assumption that it's bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's just fucking like,
Yeah.
again, disinformation within disinformation. Purposefully a confusing, horrible, like just, you know, wool over the eyes kind of scenario. So we're just gonna kind of lay
Right.
that out there real quick, just so there's no mystery.
You know, the story's still interesting, even if it is completely made up bullshit, because why would they
It's
do
fascinating.
it?
Yes. Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
Like-
and it's
like
also
why?
based off why? And it's also based off the research of many investigative reporters and ufologists to begin with. So like,
Yeah.
you know, could they have been onto something?
Oh, we got all the rock stars in this episode, man. All of them. They're all here. We're gonna fucking all of our boys are up on the main stage, man. They all get their own little special shout out.
All of them.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start here. So basically, December 1984. Fucking 1984.
Okay.
I'll just leave it there. A mysterious manila envelope was dropped off in Jamie Shandera's mailbox. Now, Jamie Shandera, who is he? He's a film producer. He specifically was working on like UFO films. He's a researcher. He was tight with this guy, Bill Moore, who was a very prominent UFO
Bill Moore.
researcher, member of
Mhm.
MUFON. He wrote the first Roswell book called The Roswell
Right.
Incident. So again, let's preface Bill Moore a little bit.
Yeah, let's get into Bill a little. So I mean, like, yeah, he did write that book, and his book was also from the perspective of someone who believes, without a doubt, that that spaceship crashed with aliens in it.
Yeah.
He went on to really piss all over the entire ufology community.
He sure did. Oh, he whipped it out and he fucking pissed right in their eyes.
5 years after this incident in 1989, I'm pretty sure it was. Could have been 87. It was in the late 80s. It was after this. He went to a UFO convention and just basically told everyone that he had been working with disinformation agents, which is a real thing. Like this part of the story is not speculative at all.
No.
Like there are, and me and Laura have talked about this before. If you listen to our episode on Project Blue Book, aka Project Blue Balls, you'll hear all about this. The government has been using disinformation agents to confuse the UFO community for
purposefully
decades.
muddy the waters. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
Right.
basically he kind of he stands up at this fucking conference and says like, you know, it's all this is fake. Like anybody who has like their exclusive inside source, you know, that's a government agent, basically do not fucking trust that person because that person is feeding you bullshit. And so people just got up, stormed
Crying.
out, left in tears,
Throwing up.
Because think about it. It's like they're making their whole fucking living off of this. You know what I mean? Like this is their livelihood. This is their entire fucking purpose for being on this earth. And so basically Bill Moore just stood up there and said like, hey, you're all fucking idiots who have been duped. Right?
Yeah, I fooled you all.
Which he was, you know, kind of a part of, right? He was a part of this. So it's there's a
he
lot
says
of
that he worked with them.
He did, yes. And there's a lot of speculation as to whether or not, you know, even his Roswell book was misinformation, right? Like if he's been kind of involved in this the whole time. Yeah, that's
those waters are muddied.
They're very muddied. Yeah. So anyway, getting back to Jamie Shandera. So again, you know, he receives this mysterious envelope. It's like 3 envelopes within each other. He opens it up and there's a roll of film inside.
Right. And he doesn't know what it is because there's nothing on the envelope to explain what would be in there. There's just like it's postmarked from New Mexico. That's all he has to go on.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So he sees a roll of film, but like because he is a filmmaker, you know, he has, you know, worked on films before. It's like not that weird of a thing for a filmmaker to receive like some film, I guess. But his first thought really was like, hey, you know, I was working on this UFO film. I was working with Bill Moore. Maybe he sent it to me or somebody that I was using as a source for this film. I just kind of, you know, wrapped up here. So he goes to Bill Moore and he's like, yo, the fuck is this? Like, why'd you send this to me? Basically. And Bill Moore was like, I don't know what that is.
Do you think that's weird on its own that Shandera was like, had to go to Bill Moore with the film? Like, couldn't it have just been like I don't know, like some sort of like weird film mixtape or something? Someone was like, hey, check out my new movie, filmmaker.
Yo,
I don't know. Yeah. Why would he go to him?
Yeah, put me on.
I don't get that part.
I don't know. The whole thing is very weird. Yeah, Bill Moore, but basically Bill Moore didn't know. He denied having any involvement with it, right? But he was like, oh, come to my house and let's develop this in my kitchen because that's
also
normal.
Weird.
That's normal.
Super weird.
Why would you develop film in your house kitchen? Like, why do you have that kind of, I don't know. Why do you have that kind of house?
I'll just bring it to a professional, Bill, actually. That's okay. Thank you.
Right, exactly. Like, no, come to my house.
No.
So yeah, they developed this film, and what's on the film is actually photos of 8 documents. So somebody had taken pictures of documents, and basically it was the Majestic 12 documents, right? On the top of all the documents, it said top secret, magic eyes only. The first 5 pages were
I see.
Exactly. Yeah, the cool way to spell it, apparently. The first 5 pages are briefings for then incoming President Eisenhower. Fucking
right.
I like
from President Truman. So it's President Truman. So they're dated November 18th, 1962. And 52. It's Truman, right? 52.
Yep.
And it's Truman telling Eisenhower, like, you know, what's up? Welcome to the presidency.
What up?
Congrats. That's so sick. We got aliens in here. I have to tell you some shit. That's that. Yeah. And it also like specifically references Roswell, like the downed alien spaceship at Roswell. Says that Majestic 12 is an organization they've developed to provide info on these downed crashes, on alien tech, and also how we could move forward with the alien problem in the future, because this is now an issue that we have to deal with. And then it goes on to list why it's called Majestic 12 is because it's 12 members, 12 very important members of the UFO, military, CIA community, and these 12 dudes listed in the documentation as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you want to go into who the fuck these people are? I mean,
I don't know. Most of them I don't know.
Yeah,
personally,
we can do the heavy hitters here. So first off, it's our boy Nathan Twining. You remember him from fucking,
from our Blue Book episode.
From Blue Book. He actually spoke to the press about Roswell. He was an Air Force general, you know. Yeah, he's an upstanding guy. Fucking Hoyt makes an appearance again. Hoyt is back.
Can't stand that dude. I hate his name.
Fucking Hoyt
I hate
is
his.
he's hoiting all over the
I hate
place.
that he calls it a name.
Where does he get off? Yeah, so Hoyt was basically, you know, he was the second director of the CIA. Like, couldn't even fucking be the first director. Hoyt.
What a
Had to be
failure.
the second. Always number 2, Hoyt. Always number 2. Who else? This guy, James Forrestal. He was the first U.S. Secretary of Defense. Pretty important guy. Roscoe Hillenkotter, like Roscoe's Chicken. He was the first director of the CIA. Yeah, and then we got some other guys. Vannevar Bush, who, like, I still
Cool
don't
name.
know. Is he related to the Bush family or not?
I don't know. I just love the
feel
name
like
Vannevar.
Vannevar is such a good name. Good
Yeah, he
for
feels like he was
you.
meant for this job.
Yeah. Right. So he was actually heavily involved in the early administration of the Manhattan Project. So he was a pretty wild guy. Yeah, and then just other like physicists, you know, astronomers, generals, all kinds of people. We'll get into one of them more specifically later, Donald Howard Menzel. We'll talk more about him because he kind of has a bit more of a role. Anyway, yeah, where were we? So basically, that's all the people
Well, it's all people that like you would expect to be in this report. They're people who have like come up in research into ufology already. Like anyone who was like studying this stuff would have come across these people's names because they had been reported to have like been at the instances. Or I mean, there are people who are like high-ranking military members and CIA agents. Like, of course, they would be the ones involved.
The main dudes, the main event.
Yeah,
hell yeah. Okay, cool. So then, Bill Moore and Jamie.
So they're like, "What do we do?"
Yeah, they're like, "Oh fuck!" Like, okay, this is a little odd, I would say, for a fucking Tuesday afternoon or whenever the hell it was. Yeah, so they were just like, you know, this could be a hoax. If it is, like, that sucks. You know, we can't really go public with it, right? Because it'll like ruin our credibility as just people. And then if it's real, like, they'll get in trouble, like with the government. Like,
right.
Like, you can't have documents like that. You know, it's like, what is it? It's like you would be charged with espionage or something, right? Like,
I'm pretty sure, yeah. If it's like classified information and you're just like, you guys want to see this shit? Yeah, you can't do that.
Can't really do that.
So they just wanted to like try to find out if it was true, basically, first. And they went to our boy Stanton Friedman.
Stanton Friedman, if you remember him, you know, he really is the guy who like brought Roswell to like the public light, right? I mean, he interviewed Jesse Marcel. After all that, he interviewed a few witnesses actually to the Roswell crash, and so he's a nuclear physicist. He was top UFO researcher. Yeah, he's a pretty solid dude in the UFO community.
Yeah, I mean, most of what we know about Roswell is because of him.
Absolutely.
And like the research that he's done.
Exactly. And then, yeah, if you haven't checked out his Wikipedia photo.
Oh, it's beautiful. Thank you, whoever did that. Oh my God. He's an incredible figure. They got the most perfect photo of him up there.
Exactly. I like to think he chose that himself.
I really you think he's editing his own Wikipedia?
He definitely is. Why wouldn't you?
I love
he's
that.
Dead, I think, but
okay,
he's doing it from beyond the grave. So basically, yeah, Stanton fucking looks at these documents and he's like, "Oh shit!" Like he's like very aroused by these documents.
Yeah. Oh,
he's like,
you have to
"Holy
imagine
shit!"
he was.
Oh my God, immediate erection that does not go away after 4 hours. And he's basically like, yo, all of these people, I've researched this, like, and all these people have come up, like, in my research.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this does not surprise me at all. Like, all these people had something to do with
like
Roswell.
The proof that, I mean, this is really important. This is, Stanton Friedman saying, I've been doing my own research. This is what my research looks like. And this is the exact proof I needed to prove my story.
He had no idea these papers existed. Like, there's no reference here.
Right.
There's no like, he's basically just like his own independent research, found these names on his own, is just
Right.
confirmed by these fucking papers. So like that's wild. The only name though that he's a little bit confused about is like we were saying before, Donald Howard Menzel. So
Right. So he starts looking into that dude.
yeah, he's like, okay, well, let me dig deep into this guy. What the hell is his deal here? Why is he part of the MJ12? And so his story is basically that he was one of the first theoretical astronomers and astrophysicists in the US, apparently. But he was like very anti-UFO. He wrote 3 books
Right.
debunking like UFOs and aliens and all that shit. He was just basically like shitting and pissing all over
Right.
that.
So it'd be a weird group for him to be a part of.
Exactly. So Stanton was just like, why would you want to fucking come to the cool kids club? You know, like you've already made yourself like pretty clear on your stance here. So he did more research and he realized that it actually did make a lot of sense for Menzel to be in there. He was playing like double agent here because, you know, he worked as a code breaker on other top secret projects. And remember, Roswell had all those really weird symbols like all over the crash parts and debris and stuff, right? There's like those pink
they were
symbols.
like covered in like pink, what they said were hieroglyphic like symbols at the time.
Right.
Just weird symbols all over them. And like that checks out for me. That makes sense.
So it seems like, his anti-UFO stance was maybe orchestrated. Like, hey, like,
right,
you know, just again, like fucking disinformation within like just make it seem like to the public like you're very anti-UFO, so nobody can trace you back to this, you know. But it's like I guess I don't get why they wouldn't do that with all of them, you know, like
but it's also it makes sense to me that they would have an astronomer on the team as well, just in general. Like they need some astronomer because
of course.
I mean, they brought Hynek on for Blue Book. So like that also checks out to me. Like he's the resident astronomer.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
You know,
and then just another small detail here is Stanton Friedman also found that he found records of Menzel making numerous trips to Washington, D.C. during 1947. So like more than any other.
Oh, and there was
year.
that.
Yeah.
He also discovered that weird thing about like his security clearance, which is like, oh my gosh, he like did something and got his security clearance revoked. And then there's like documentation that it was like reinstated around this time. And he like had security clearance he shouldn't have had based off of his position, like his job.
Right. Or didn't he do something bad?
So
wasn't he like a bad boy or something?
I think they thought he was a bad boy communist because this was around when people were getting called out for that shit. And then he was like, turned out to not be a bad boy.
Like, you're not that bad because we need you. We need you to
but
serve us.
but they basically like, reinstated his like high security clearance, which is just super weird that he would have it. And we just know that because of that paperwork. So Menzel, he checks out for me. He's allowed to be in the MJ12.
I approve his admission as well. Yes. Stanton also confirms that the dates listed in the documents do match up with, I guess, records of like Truman's appointment book. Like apparently
like
he met with James Forrestal and our boy Vannevar Bush on September 24th, 1947. Like there is actual record of that. There's actual record of Eisenhower being in Washington specifically for briefings on November 18th, 1952 as well. So so all the dates check out, which is pretty crazy, I think.
It is crazy. It's like super coincidental that they can't find anything to go against these dates. And that's something that's going to keep coming up with Majestic 12 is that there's like never any proof. Like if you guys are waiting for some like indisputable proof that this is real, you're not going to get it. But there's never any
also proof that it's not real though.
Exactly.
Like,
it keeps checking out. You're like, fuck, yes, they were all in meetings that day.
Right.
Yes, their flight records do match up. They were in the same city. No, I can't prove they were sitting in on a Majestic 12 meeting, but holy shit, like they were there. Yeah. And it's weird. It's fucking weird.
It is fucking weird. I mean,
it's just so frustrating.
There's other theories as to like what was actually going on at this time. I mean, you know, this was the fucking Cold War. This was fresh out of fucking World War II. So it could have just been like, these were actual meetings happening, you know, in regards to like Soviet activity, nuke activity. And somebody just maybe edited them to be aliens instead, which like I guess makes sense. But
I mean, so yeah, so all this stuff checks out, at least in that sense. And they basically do this for a few months. And
Yeah.
then like while they're figuring all this stuff out, trying to figure out if it's real or not, that's when like Bill gets that super weird, like
Oh my
weird ass
God.
riddle. I hate
this.
I hate it so much.
I
It's just,
hate
first
the
of
riddle.
all, if you've ever written a riddle in your entire life, fuck you. It's gross.
Get a new hobby,
I
dude.
don't like them.
Get a new fucking hobby.
Yeah, stop being a weird troll.
Yeah.
Just come out with it already.
Yeah,
I hate it.
What is this? Like, yeah, it's real bad. So basically, Bill Moore, it's March 1985. He gets a fucking postcard from New Zealand that had a return address to Ethiopia. Like, okay. And do you want to read the riddle? I'm gonna make you read it since you hate it so much.
Yeah, it said,
Read it with like zest. Read it with
the
an Irish
disdain
accent.
that I feel for
No,
it.
no.
No, I honestly, like, my stomach's turning. I feel sick. I hate
I
riddles.
feel like
This is so
I
stupid.
want to hear it in an Irish accent. Do it.
You have to do
When
it.
the doors won't open, search for a windows. Add zest to your trip for Washington. Try Reese's Pieces. For a stylish look, shop Suitland.
It's the worst Irish accent I've ever heard in my life.
It
Goodbye,
is bad.
guys.
I need to
We gotta
disown my
stop.
Irish heritage because that really was bad. I kept going with it though, you know. I knew it was bad immediately.
I'm proud that you.
And I wouldn't stop. I wouldn't let up.
Oh my God! But that's really what it said.
That's really what it said.
That's actually the postcard. This man, this poor dude, just woke up in the morning and tried to have a normal ass day, and he got that postcard in the mail.
I think he wrote it himself, but you know that's another conversation.
He had to have wrote it himself. I mean, this is Bill
Yeah.
Moore we're talking about here,
This
and
is
he's
Bill
not
Moore.
to be trusted.
Right.
Yeah. So, what the hell? What does this mean? What is this shit?
All right. Okay, so to say it again, normally, when doors won't open, search for windows, add zest to your trip to Washington, try Reese's Pieces. For a stylish look, shop Suitland. All right. Fucking Stanton Friedman had a meeting with a man named Ed Reese. At the National
Like at that exact
Archives.
moment. The
Right.
same day.
Yep. And he reveals that the Air Force was in the process of declassifying records from the late 40s, early 50s, and that the files were being stored at a facility in Suitland, Maryland.
Yeah, I still don't get the zest part or the doors and
Zest.
windows.
Nothing.
Okay.
That's stupid. Yeah, that's just Bill Moore trying
That
to
was
be
just for fun.
creative.
Just some flair.
That was
So,
some creative
I mean,
writing
yeah.
attempt.
But it means that if this wasn't Bill Moore who wrote this, then whoever is doing this knows exactly where they are, what they're doing, which is creepy. Creepy as hell.
Very creepy. Right. So they go there. So July, I don't know why they waited so many months. But yeah, so basically in July of 1985.
Maybe for the
Bill-
documents to become declassified.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Tal always keeping it
I have no
real
idea.
there. You know, always just shooting me down there.
I'm ready for the conspiracies.
Bill and Jamie, they go to the archives together in Maryland. And basically, yeah, they spend days going through the documents. Days. Like, I just imagine they're in there fucking in the same clothes, smelling like shit, just going through like fucking
They've been there for months.
paper after paper.
Waiting.
Yeah, exactly. And then they finally find a fucking memo, man.
Yeah, it was like one loose memo. It was sent from National Security Advisor Cutler to General Twining.
Yeah,
Our boy, General Twining. Don't forget that guy.
Yeah.
It doesn't really say much of anything, but it does specifically mention a rescheduled Majestic 12 meeting.
It
so
does. Yeah,
at the bare minimum,
it says Majestic 12, like which
right.
is
So it's confirmation that
only
Majestic
other-
12 existed.
right. Yeah, it's the only other mention of Majestic 12 that they can find. Yeah.
Now this one's weird because as much as me and Laura are like
We're
not
like, fuck
sure about the
Yeah.
original documents, This one is hard to fudge because it is in the National Archives and it's
Nothing's
so
allowed in or out,
hard.
right? Like,
yeah, like
they made a copy
they
of
are
it.
on top of you when you're in there.
Yeah.
You can't bring shit in. You can't like bring in a pen. You can't bring in a paper because I mean you could be
But
messing
they did
with
allow
shit
them
in
to
there.
copy it, which is I didn't understand that. I guess it's like if they're so strict, why would they allow you to copy? I don't know.
I mean, but they're like watching you. They're like in the room with you. You can only like bring in like one thing at a time, I guess. I don't know. It's just, it's weird. It's weird that this would be there with them faking it. I don't know how they would get away with that.
Yes. Yeah. And it's so basically, besides the original documents that were sent to Shandera, this is, again, like the only other like outside mention of Majestic 12. Very odd. Very, very, very odd.
And this one's weird too because it's an
involving
original
Nathan
document.
Twining. Yeah, it's involving fucking Twining. You know, it's like he's
Right.
part of Majestic 12. Like, it makes fucking sense.
And it's on it's on the original paper. It's not a photo either.
Right. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So they like actually could like test that one and test for its like authenticity.
Yeah.
And I was reading something that said that it checked out in that sense because like the type of paper that it was on was only sent to a couple major suppliers like in bulk, and one of them was in fact the US government.
Goddamn.
So like that is exactly what they would be sending out their paper on. It also
fucking big paper, fucking the Dunder Mifflin conspiracy over here. They're definitely involved.
That is the last Office reference we will ever make on this show. The first and the last. Yeah, so I mean that I don't know. That I kind of can't come to terms with that one because as much as I think that so much of this other bullshit is exactly just bullshit, like I really think there's some truth in here. And
That's
I wonder if this memo is a real memo.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's like what really fucking annoys me about it is that like, yeah, all the other shit, like, okay, like it makes sense that Bill Moore would like do this just to
be
like
a liar.
Just to be a liar, just to fucking like get his rocks off. But then this shit is like, okay, you can't, you literally can't fake this. I don't know. It's so weird. But anyway, okay, so next year or the next couple of years, they're sitting on this. They decide to go public with it. So in 1987, they're like, okay, we're just going to fucking put this out there because why not at this point? You know, it's like we have this
because we've been looking at it for years.
We don't know what else to do. Like, you know, nobody's telling us it's fake. So like, let's just present it.
Right.
So they send the papers and the memo that they found, the Cutler Twining memo, to media outlets, and they do submit a press release with the statement. Although we're not in a position to endorse its authenticity at this time, it is our considered opinion that the documents and its contents appear to be genuine. So, okay, cool.
Right.
So the New York Times fucking picks it up. Fucking Washington Post picks it up. The London Observer picks it up, and they actually go so far to interview the person that was working at the archives at the time that they found this memo.
Right.
Yeah, and that person's like, yeah, they fucking found it there.
Yeah,
like,
I was there. It was normal. They found it.
Do anything weird, but I don't know. Maybe fucking Bill Maher slipped her some D, and then
I don't think we're gonna go with that theory. He didn't slip her D at all. Okay,
well,
she is a professional. She works in the National Archives. Said it was all legit, and I'm gonna go with that.
We'll go with that. There's some D slipping.
I love that our boy, that little piece of shit, Philip Klass, who's come up before.
Shit.
As
God damn it.
Just there's like certain people that just make a living off being contrary, and
it's fucking Mick West. He was the Mick West of his time.
Yeah, he is the Mick West of his time. And Philip Ass gets through and says that he's like, I'm going to make some phone calls and I'm going to figure this shit out for myself. Because, I mean, at this point, the media is like freaking the fuck out and everyone wants to know what's going on.
Well, hold on. Who is Philip Klass? Just again, he's so basically he was the Washington editor of Aviation Week and Space Technology magazine. And basically, leading fucking debunker. of
Mhm.
reports of UFOs. Like,
Yeah,
again,
again, cool job. Cool job,
great.
dude.
Yeah, awesome.
I'm a
You're really
debunker.
awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, love you. Yeah,
Yeah.
wanted to ruin everyone's fun and really hated Stanton Friedman also, by the
Yeah.
way. Like, hated him. Like, hell-bent on fucking
it's the light and
destroying his
dark. They're like
credibility.
two opposite. They can't exist
Yeah.
in the same place at the same
There
time.
can be only one! Yeah. That's what they both said.
I mean, the first thing he mentioned was with the original, like those MJ12 documents that got sent to Shandera. He mentioned that the signature was super weird. Truman's signature said it was like weirdly identical, and like had all these issues, and that one
It was
does
like too exact. Yeah, exactly.
But it kind of checks out because the signature was sort of weird. Like it was like those kind of ones where they were like, you know, like you cut out the signature and then photocopy it onto a piece of paper. I mean, you guys have all like, you know,
Right.
tried to fake someone's signature before, I'm sure.
Everyone.
Sure, it's come up.
I fake my own
No.
signature all the time.
Yeah. So he was concerned about the signature, but then he said this like really weird thing about how there's no way that this memo could ever be legitimate because they would never use that font.
Oh my God. What a nerd. What a fucking
Yeah.
nerd. Get
But-
out of here with your font.
I mean, he was wrong. There was like multiple examples of that specific office sending out other memos with this font.
So
looked
what
like
he
a
did
clown.
was he fucking challenged Stanton Friedman like a public duel. He was like, I challenge you to find me any other document from Cutler's office or whatever, like that uses
and Friedman
this
was just
font.
like, here.
He was
all
like, I'll
of
give you
them, take 'em."
$100. I'll give you $100 for each fucking document that you find because you're an asshole and you're never gonna fucking find even a single one. And he found fucking 34.
And he made Friedman rich.
Exactly. He fucking retired. Stanton Friedman retired after that. He found 34
Philip
documents.
ass, you little clown.
Yeah.
You lost that one.
Okay, so this is the one point though that he brings up that actually is kind of odd. It's the Roscoe's Chicken Hill and Cotter issue here, where basically he's referred to as admiral, but he was actually a rear admiral. And it's like he's listed as the author, so he's like referring to himself as admiral as opposed to a rear admiral. But there is a difference, right? It's like a 1-star rank as opposed to a 4-star rank. So
yeah, but is it like really weird to
who
like,
says rear
miss
ad? Why would you
that?
want to be an admiral of a rear?
I don't know. Look, I've never been in the military. I've definitely never been a rear admiral. I don't know. Maybe you would
He
just
didn't
do
want
that
to
real
be.
quick.
He didn't like the name rear admiral. He's like, I'm an admiral of many things, not just rears. Okay,
Yeah.
like
He thought more highly of himself. Are we gonna punish him for that?
I
don't care.
Punish him. Yeah,
I don't
that's.
care.
I mean, it's odd,
Whatever.
but Roscoe's Chicken gets to.
If you
gets
say
a pass
so.
on this one. Yeah.
I just hate Philip Glass, so I'm
He
biased.
really does suck. Yeah.
He sucks.
Yeah, he's not great. So the FBI finally gets involved after all this like commotion is
Like,
happening.
Do they? But
No.
do they? No, they don't.
No.
They pretend to get involved.
Basically,
all they
their
really
force,
do
the Air
is-
Force is like, yo, hey, can you look into this shit? And they're like, no.
Yeah.
But then
They
they're like,
do
"All right, fine."
take out a big thick Sharpie and write bogus all over every single page, and they're like, case closed. Problem
Case
solved.
closed, atheists. Yeah.
And that's not a
these
joke.
papers now say bogus all over them. So
They literally
clearly
did
they're
that.
bogus. It's like,
Yeah.
what are they? Fucking like 15-year-old surfers? Like, bogus, man. These fucking documents are bogus. Like, get out of here. What are you talking about? Why is that the word?
Yeah.
It's no
Yeah,
coincidence,
so they
though,
actually
because-
they
okay.
did that.
They did that, but they released these files in 1993, and then with bogus written all over them. Like, okay, cool, like you guys are really awesome. And then what a fucking coincidence! A year later is when the Air Force finally decides to release their report on Roswell, with the whole
Right.
like case closed, fucking bullshit, Project Mogul, like just doubling down on their bullshit, right? So that to me is very odd that it was like, okay, like the Air Force has been silent over Roswell for all this time. And then it's like, as soon as this like Majestic 12 shit is like kind of hitting the fan here, and the FBI is like forced to respond to it, is when they're like, okay, yeah, Roswell, though, not what you think it is. It was something,
Right.
but it wasn't what you
Yeah.
think. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I almost wonder if this was all getting a little bit too close to home for them. Like they were like, we have to say something because people are going to keep looking into this shit. So let's
Yeah.
just give them an answer so that we can stop.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And they did. They claimed it was Project Mogul, which we talked about in Roswell. But just to get into it like really briefly again, they basically said that they were using multiple weather balloons all strung up together in a massive weather balloon to spy on the Soviet Union and figure out if they were like using nuclear weapons. And then that is what crashed.
Right.
There's so many holes in this theory that I hate even giving it any sort of attention.
No, I hate wasting my breath on it.
Yeah, for starters, Project Mogul is multiple weather balloons. So all
It's
the
not
stuff
weather
that it's
balloons.
made out of,
But it is. Right.
all the stuff it's made out of are common weather balloon materials. So if you found a bunch of tin foil and light wood, you'd be like, this is weird. This is no normal weather balloon. But you wouldn't be like, this is the craziest, weirdest metal I've ever seen in my life. You'd be like, no, it's still tin foil. Like you
fucking
still
school
know it's a
supplies.
friggin' weather balloon.
Exactly.
Also, they wouldn't be sending this material out to be tested at like other Air Force bases or anything like that. And the biggest part to me is that they declassified Project Mogul in the 50s. So
Right.
why decades later are they still covering it up and hiding it?
Again,
It
conveniently,
doesn't make any sense. They'd be like, oh, that was Project Mogul.
when fucking the Majestic 12 shit was like being brought up,
Exactly.
you know? It's
Exactly.
so annoying.
And to add to that, at the same time, people were asking for documentation on Roswell. Senators and government officials were trying to figure out what really happened at Roswell. So when they go digging into the Roswell story, we find out that there is no paperwork whatsoever on Roswell within the government anymore. It has all been destroyed.
Yeah. Oh, whoops.
That doesn't happen. With nothing else has that happened. But there
No.
is so much documentation for Mogul still.
Right.
So again, if it was just Mogul, we would have that information to back it up. And there is no proof that Roswell had anything to do with Mogul.
Yeah. Okay. So that actually brings me, I wanted to like touch on this a little bit. I know that this is like definitely really fringe, but I think it's like for sure interesting.
I love the fringe.
Yeah. So just going along with like, all the documents kind of disappearing here. In 1999, an anonymous source claiming to be a former CIA operative leaked the burned memos. So this was kind of associated with like MJ12's involvement in the JFK assassination. So I kind of just have a theory that like these memos were maybe they kind of coincided with the destruction of the Roswell shit too. Like they were just like, just fucking burn it all. Like it's all fucking
interesting.
We can't. Yeah, I don't know. That's just like my thing. But just to touch on it a little bit, JFK, we talked about it in our president's episode. Fucking I love them alien titties, and I want to share them with the Soviets. That's again another terrible impression.
What accent was that?
I'm not
Who was
sure.
that?
And okay, he was not a fan of the CIA. He was extremely interested in disclosure. He wanted to have a good relationship with the Soviets.
Right.
On November 12th, 1963, he issued a memo to NASA to begin cooperation with the USSR, specifically in lunar landing programs. He wanted to share the UFO info.
Right, because he thought that if the USSR thought that we were responsible for these UFO sightings that they were having, that it would cause World War III. And he was
exactly
peeing his pants over it.
He was peeing his pants. And so basically this memo then was discovered. It was like the burn memo, because it was like, yeah, memos were being burned. And then apparently like this fucking anonymous source, he claims that he grabbed like a few documents out of this burn pile. And it basically talks about how the MJ-12 at the time, they were like It says Lancer made some inquiries into our activities, which we cannot allow. So Lancer was the code name for JFK, and that actually is true. I guess every president has their code name, right? Like, why not? It's cute. And so they took a vote, basically, and they decided that they needed to fucking eliminate him. And when he made the request to share the information about UFOs with the USSR, he was assassinated like, I forget exactly. It was like a week later.
It was like days later,
like that.
like a week. Yeah, it was a very short amount of time.
Like as soon as he made that request.
Right.
Nope. He's
well because
gone.
he gave them a deadline, and he was like, by this date, we need to share the information we have on UFOs with the USSR.
Mm-hmm.
And then days later, he was killed. And
Majestic 12 was just like, fuck this guy. And fuck Marilyn Monroe, too.
I know this is a
spicy
conspiracy here.
It's very spicy.
So spicy. I'm just saying those dates are weird. It's weird.
It's odd. It's odd. Yeah, we get into it a little bit more in our president's episode. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of briefly talk about that. But anyway, fast forwarding now here to 2007. What happens? Fucking... We kind of find out the truth.
This is when I start getting like really mad. This is like losing my damn mind.
Blood vessels explode all over.
We're going to talk about one of the biggest pieces of shit that we've had.
I don't even want to talk about him, honestly. He sucks.
I know.
So
I want to say
bad.
his stupid name.
His stupid face. Also, have you seen his face?
Stupid. No, I can't bring myself to look at his face. I've got an idea in my head of what he looks like, and I'm comfortable with that.
No, wait, you haven't seen his face? You have to look at his face.
I don't want to. Okay, hold on. I'm going to literally do it right now while we're on air. Let's see.
You will punch your fucking computer and we will lose transmission here. Like, we're going to lose connection because you're going to fuck up your computer.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yep, he looks like that. That's what he looks like.
Where's the bottom of his face?
What a fucking villain this person is.
This guy, he looks like he made a deal with a weird troll to trade his mouth for a mustache.
He actually is the troll.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I told you, dude.
Can we end the episode? I don't want to do this anymore.
That's cue now for all of you to go fucking Google this person. His name is Richard Doty. Okay? Doty. Look this ass up if you want to get real mad. If you're just feeling like punching your goddamn computer until it's destroyed, look this person up.
Oh my God, he sucks so much.
Yeah. Okay. So basically in 2007, this guy, Bob Pratt, he's another UFO researcher. He worked closely with Bill Moore in the 80s. And he happened to record a conversation between Bill Moore and Richard Doty. Now, who was Richard Doty?
So Richard Doty is
besides an actual human asshole.
No, he is a professional ass. He was hired to be the government's
He's an actual
asshole
human ass with a tie on. He's wearing a tie. It's like, just picture an actual ass that's like full size, like a full size human just wearing a tie. Imagine that.
He's a professional disinformation agent. And that's putting it lightly. I mean, can we get into what he did? He literally ruined a man's life. He sent him to the insane asylum. Like
Hold on. Getting a little.
I'm ready. No, I'm ready to dig in on this guy. I'm so mad.
But we have to talk about Bill Moore's involvement first. Okay, so Richard Doty, he was an Air Force. So basically, he was a special investigations agent for the Air Force Office of Special Investigations. Like, so confusing. So he was, first of all, his title is fucking confusing. He had been in contact with Bill Moore since 1980. So yeah, basically since fucking, when did Bill Moore write that Roswell book? Was it 1980?
I'm not sure.
I think it was. Holy shit. So yeah, Bill Moore was actually fucking a disinformation agent also. Like, that book was disinformation. Anyway, so yeah, they had been like BFFs.
Can't trust anyone, people.
Definitely slipping each other some D since 1980. And they had a deal basically where Doty would provide Bill more with credible UFO information if Bill Moore would share what he knew about Roswell investigations and like the various UFO groups that he was a part of and MUFON and shit like that. So basically, like, yeah, Doty was getting Bill Moore to like rat on his friends, share, you know, whatever research that he had. And yeah, in exchange, he would get like insider info, right?
Right.
And so Richard Doty also told Bill that all the information about UFOs was contained in a briefing that was given to Eisenhower. So that's basically, yeah, the MJ-12 documents, right?
But it was based off of, it was based off the information that Moore was telling him. So Moore was like, hey, I've been doing my own research.
Yes.
I noticed all of these things. And Richard Doty, this little piece of shit, is just listening to everything he's saying and absorbing it and just spits it back out at him as if it's fact.
Yeah. He was like, oh, yeah, you're right.
Which I'm also really confused by, because that means that, to me, that means that when Shandera brought his information over to Bill Moore should have immediately been like, oh, I know who gave this to you. It's the man that I was just speaking to that told me he was going to give me this.
Which is why Bill Moore was involved with it. Yes. And like is not to be fucking trusted.
Right. So, and this is why, like, this is the exact, like, this is the core of it all. This is why people that study this sort of stuff do not think those original documents were genuine.
Exactly.
Because it fits too perfect. And we know that Bill Moore is not to be trusted. We know that Richard Doty is a professional piece of shit. We know that they worked together on this.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know what Shandera's role is in all of this.
Sure
I don't know if he was also I
don't think he was as involved. I do think that he was kind of set up a little bit. Maybe he found out what was really going on and chose to kind of like not talk about it. I don't know. But anyway, okay, so let's go into a little bit more on this fucking professional ass Richard Doty. So he had a 20.
Yeah, let's really drag him through the mud
I
here.
hate him. I hope. Is he dead? He fucking will be.
Let's find out. Hold on. I must know. I must know if he's still walking the earth, if he's listening to our pod
He's
right
definitely
now.
listening, for sure.
I think he's alive.
God damn it. That needs to change. How can he fucking live with himself?
I don't know. We need a guy. We need someone that can just like look this up.
We need a Jamie.
A what?
You know, Joe Rogan, he has Jamie. Jamie, pull that up.
No, I don't listen to that trash.
Okay, listen.
I don't know. I think he's alive. Anyway.
Okay, Richard Doty, he's evil. He's had a 20-year career in the Air Force, mostly as an intelligence agent in the Office of Special Investigations, right? And basically his whole task was to just basically fucking discredit the entire UFO community, just like inseminate fake shit, fake documents, fake stories, just all this shit.
Yeah.
In particular,
not enough to just like say, no, that's not true, but to confuse them.
Yeah, here's some shit. Like, you know, like just off the top of my head, it's like Project Serpo he talked about, which is basically like our secret base like on Mars or something like that.
We will definitely do an episode
It's
on Project
crazy.
Serpo.
Yeah, it's really crazy. But it's all probably fucking fake because, you know, it's like I learned about that first, like before I knew really about Richard Doty. And so now I'm just like really mad because I was like, wow, Project Serpo is so cool and interesting. And then it's like, so basically like, why wasn't he just like a sci-fi writer? Like, why didn't he just like become like a sci-fi writer and write like cool books, you know?
Well, I mean, that's the question that I have with all this stuff. I start to wonder that with all of this stuff that was like, where is the line of truth in this? Like, was Project Serpo based off of some sort of reality? And then, I mean, it gets into like the X-Files storyline here, you know, where it's like, did Richard Doty, was his role to find when people were getting too close to the truth and make them look like damn fools?
Yeah.
You know, by coming out and saying, oh, I lied about all of that in order to make you look stupid. And then every bit of research you had on your own then looks stupid. You look like a fool.
Right.
But like, we don't know how much of the middle ground there was actually true.
Which is why he fucking drove a man insane. Okay, so we got to talk about fucking Paul
Right.
Benowitz. Poor Paul Benowitz.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So this man,
Poor Paul.
Richard Doty, just tortured for years. Okay, so just a
He did.
little bit of
Mhm.
background here. He was a scientist. He had contracts with the Air Force, with his company Thunder Scientific, based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. And yeah, I mean, contracts specifically with the Kirtland Air Force Base. And so basically in 1980, he approached Commander Ernest Edwards at the Kirtland Air Force Base and said that he had knowledge, evidence, photos, video, transmissions of threats, alien threats against the Manzano weapons storage area. That's basically where the nukes were stored. So he was basically like,
Right.
you know, screaming. He was like fucking Paul Revere, like the aliens are coming, like they're, you know, like you guys better like protect yourselves or like, you know, move the nukes somewhere. Like the aliens know about them. They're gonna fucking like set them off. Everybody was like a little bit alarmed, but they also like didn't really take him that seriously. You know, they were kind of like, oh, this guy like seems a little crazy, you know, like kind of makes sense. But then like the Air Force actually did launch an investigation into it. So October 26th of 1980, they did send out Jerry Miller, a scientific advisor for the Air Force, and fucking the ass himself, Richard Doty. So that's kind of like where Richard Doty is first introduced here. And they look at the photos and evidence that Benowitz has. And they also look at the increased electromagnetic pulses that were physically measured. Like this is true. Like there was an increase of electromagnetic activity near the Manzano storage area that Benowitz had recorded. And yeah, they basically kind of concluded that like, yeah, it's weird, but it doesn't really seem to be that big of a threat. So like, we're going to drop it. Benowitz doesn't want to drop it though. He's
Right.
like, you know, fucking listen to me. Like this is still happening. Like this is serious. Like I'm in contact with the aliens. Like they're sending me messages. They're talking to me specifically. And so basically then is when Doty is like, okay, I got to shut this guy up. Like he's getting orders to like shut this guy up. And he like takes him out.
And why?
Why?
And why?
Why? Right. Exactly. It's like, why
Whatever.
not just be like, why not just write him off as like a crazy guy? Right. Like,
Why not just let him look
just
crazy?
let him
Yeah.
be crazy. Like if that's really what's going on. But no, like something
Right.
he was uncovering something that was going on. So either he was like, yes, filming very
I
secretive,
think so.
you know, test flights for whatever crafts they were dealing with, or like, yes, he was actually fucking uncovering aliens or some shit, you know, and the government was just
Right.
basically like, fuck this guy, like drive him insane. And so Richard Doty did succeed in doing that because yeah, he brought Benowitz over a supposedly secret alien base that was nearby. And he gave Benowitz all these like, again, like fake documents that Doty himself had written. And yeah, Benowitz basically became so fucking paranoid. He like literally lost his mind. He had to be admitted to a mental hospital in 1988. So for years,
I mean,
he was just out of
Doty
his
was
mind.
breaking into his house.
Yeah, no.
He was like breaking into his house and planting weird shit around the place,
Yeah.
like just to freak him out.
They were beaming alien messages
Ugh.
like into his fucking radio. I mean, Doty says that wasn't him doing it, but like obviously he can't be fucking
Yes, it was.
trusted. He's
you.
purposefully contradictory in like everything he says. Like imagine being married to this
Yeah.
person. It's like everything you literally can't trust or believe anything that he fucking says. Like how does he have any friends or family?
He's a professional liar. His job is to gaslight.
Right.
It's his professional career.
Yeah, so again, like Benowitz
Ew.
is just, he's in the hospital at this point. Like he's been driven insane by the government,
Right.
basically. Like, nice job. Nice job. You fucking destroyed
Right.
a man's life because like he was stumbling upon something that like, you know, might be huge. And they just didn't
Yeah.
want him to
So
talk about it.
this stupid man is at the heart of the Majestic 12 conspiracy.
Yeah.
He and he came out years later and admitted that he orchestrated it.
Yeah.
That's the part that really drove me nuts, is that we are dealing with this person's lies and trying to figure out what is lies and what is truth. And I don't know if there's a way to do that with the Majestic 12. I don't know if we can figure out what's fact and what's fiction here. Like if we can figure out where he stepped in and just made shit up.
Right.
I mean, maybe he didn't. Maybe he just literally took everything that was completely true that Bill Moore had brought to him and just fed it back to him so it looked fake. I mean, we really don't know what he did. But because of that, I can't.
There might have
give
been an
any sort of real credit to
organization
the story.
like MJ12, but like it's definitely not what we think it is. Like it's not like what's in those documents. You know what I mean? It's like
I mean, the memo still freaks me
Yes.
out. I don't know how they could get away with that memo. I don't know how they could fix
It's
that.
just way more convoluted and definitely way more secretive. Like they're not gonna like let that shit. I also believe that the Freedom of Information Act is corrupt. I don't believe that that's like I don't think that that's
Of course
fucking
it is.
true.
You really think that it's
like people are just like, oh, hey, government, can you tell me what's
there's
going
that, like,
on? Sure, citizen, here you go.
Right.
It's like, no.
It screams to me of like that, you know, that idea that like you can just like, if you ask a cop if they're a cop, they have to tell you if they are.
Yeah.
Like always play on that. It's that. It's literally like, oh, well, I asked for this information, so you must tell me. Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Here's the truth. Of course.
The only thing that bothers me too is like, you know, Stanton Friedman is so credible. He's so like, you know, huge in obviously like all of this UFO lore. Like, why did he accept the papers like as genuine? Like, why did he accept it all as like at face value? You know what I mean?
I mean, I think it was because he trusted the people he was working with, and also because it was so easy.
Was it not just like
to say,
confirmation bias? It's like, oh yeah, like I was, you know,
I'm sure it was
studying all this stuff, and like, yeah, these are
He's
names
like,
that
this
have
is
come up.
exactly
Yeah, exactly.
Right. He was like, this is exactly what I have found, so this must be true.
Right.
And that makes sense to me. I feel really bad that happened to that cool dude.
Yeah.
But what's so important here to me, despite the fact that this might all be bullshit, is that Richard Doty, despite being a human piece of shit,
actual human piece,
his job wasn't. Like, he had a real job doing this stuff. And it just keeps bringing up that question of like, why?
Right.
Why would they do all of this? Because again, the US government's official reason for all of this is because of Project Mogul, where it, you know, like Richard Doty's out there like infiltrating UFO groups and trying to drive men insane
and
over something that was declassified in the fucking 50s.
Right.
That was never a big deal to begin with.
Exactly.
That never succeeded.
It's not a big deal, guys. It's just a fucking weather balloon. Like, stop talking about it. Stop thinking about it. Yet, here, I'm going to fucking drive a man insane because it's that little of a deal.
For decades, I'm going to... Something's not adding up.
No, and yeah, it's
you
purposeful.
know that there has to be something massive at the base of all of this in order for them to go through these sort of extremes.
And that's what's so mind-boggling and so like frustrating, you know, when researching stories like this. It's just like, oh my God, you just find yourself getting like crazy. Yeah, I mean, I can absolutely see why this person like Paul Benowitz would go insane if this is your whole fucking life and you're like stumbling upon something that's like very, very real to you, and then you're being told like, yeah, it's real, like yep, and then it's like not, you know, it's all like kind of like ripped out from under you, you know. It's I totally get it, but I mean, it's not like this is not happening even today, you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, it stopped with Richard Doty.
Of course it is.
I am gonna go out on a limb here and say that fucking Tom DeLonge and Jeremy Corbell are the modern day Richard Doty's.
Okay, I don't know about Tom DeLonge.
No?
I would love it if Jeremy Corbell was actually just another Richard Doty, because that dude sucks.
He definitely sucks. I mean, Tom DeLonge, I don't know. It seems weird. It seems just odd that they would allow him to spew out all this information.
I feel like Tom DeLonge is so genuine. Like, I feel like he is he's the Benowitz in the group, where he's just in the street running around screaming the aliens are real.
Maybe.
Then Jeremy Corbell is just feeding him disinformation.
Right. Okay. Yeah, you're right. I was gonna say fucking Bob Lazar is the Benowitz of this time. Yeah, and Jeremy Corbell.
I mean, I do trust and believe in Bob Lazar
I
as
believe in
well.
Bob too.
I don't know. Just yeah, I mean, I think that's the big takeaway here is that stuff is all real. The disinformation is real. There is something being covered up here. And it is not some bullshit like Mogul. It is not some, secret government military testing or something mundane like that could have happened in the 40s. That would be so massive that even today they'd still be covering it up and driving people insane. There is something so massive being covered up here that in order to, I mean, if any bit of that truth came out, it would disrupt the entire fucking world.
Exactly.
So
that's why they gotta.
I don't know. I mean,
they gotta fucking
do with that what you will.
Confuse the shit out of it so nobody knows. Nobody knows for sure what's happening. But yeah, okay. I'm
okay. Can we end this?
Tired.
I'm angry. I'm
tired.
pissed.
I have to go sleep for 12 days.
I'm done.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for listening. If you want more shit, check us out on Patreon. We have some little extras, some little bunk snacks there. It's TMTYD Pod. We have an Instagram. It's TMTYD Pod.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it, really. I don't know. We don't really tend to anything else.
We have a Reddit.
Oh, yeah. I've been on there. I've been doing some stuff on there. Fucking check us out. Contribute
and I'd love for you guys to check us out on there, the Reddit or the Instagram account. Check us out. And if you happen to, I don't know, if you just like super love Richard Doty, definitely hit us up on there. I'd love to hear from you.
Oh yeah, dude, if you're a fucking Richard Doty simp, like, I want to hear from you. I need to understand.
And I'm going to do something crazy here. If you're a Jeremy Corbell simp, hit us up too.
Ooh, I want to know you. Oh, I want to know you.
Yeah, come on through. Come on, let us know.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do to you, but I want to know you. That's all.
I just want to talk.
Yeah. Cool. Exactly. Okay, well, thanks again. Goodbye.
Cool. Bye, guys.